Hello and welcome. In this lecture, I will discuss Plato's views on tripartite human soul, theory of philosopher king, the theory of education and communism. The great Greek thinker Plato is the first systematic political philosopher within the entire ancient intellectual tradition. Plato's political philosophy is a subsystem of his much larger philosophical system in which each element has its own place and in which neither the parts nor the whole can be understood apart from each other. His political philosophy therefore comprises of a systematic sequence of interrelated and interdependent ideas, concepts, doctrines, and theories bundled together into a whole. The Republic is undoubtedly Plato's masterpiece. It is the crowning achievement of Plato's art and philosophy, and in it he very successfully tries to portray an ideal state in which justice should reign supreme. Plato was convinced that the state can be truly understood only as an ideal. The ideal state is the right state, which is the normal, healthy specimen. The right state must be an ideal one, because every actual state is to some extent defective, abnormal, or perverted. Thus, the main theme of Plato is the inquiry into the nature and location of justice, which is to be realized systematically through the construction of an ideal state. Plato presents his ideal state in three successive steps. In the first step, he plots the division of society into three sections of rulers, warriors, and producers, having three dominant elements of wisdom, bravery, and appetite. The ideal state is based on justice, and justice prevails when all the three sections perform their functions as per their dominant element. The division of society in three sections is intended to achieve functional specialization based on the natural disposition. The division is equally applicable to women, as Plato believed that men and women are different only in degree and not in kind. Women should have same education and should share same public functions. In the second step, he introduces the rule of philosopher king. Knowledge is virtue, and therefore the salvation of society depends on government by philosopher ruler. To establish such a rule, Plato gives an elaborate scheme of education. The scheme of education is aimed to ensure a constant supply of philosopher kings and to help every individual discover his or her true vocation in life and excel in it. In the third step, Plato advocates the abolition of the family on the basis of communism of property and wives. The communism of property and wives applicable to the guardian class was meant to keep them out of economic and worldly temptations so that they could concentrate on their unflinching duty to the state. Thus, the fundamental characteristic of a good state is that in it, power will not be given to those who want it most, but to those who desire it least. That is, to the philosophers who will nevertheless exercise it best. Plato begins the construction of his ideal state in the light of the threefold conception of human soul. His vision of the ideal state issues from the ideal psychological condition of man. According to Plato, human behavior flows from three main sources, which are desire, emotion, and knowledge. Desire has its seat in the loins. It is a bursting reservoir of energy, fundamentally sexual. Emotion has its seat in the heart, in the flow and force of the blood. It is the organic resonance of experience and desire. Knowledge has its seat in the head. It is the eye of desire and can become the pilot of the soul. The condition of the state is the reflection of the condition of the human soul. There are three parts or elements of the soul: the rational, the separated, and the appetitive. The function of the rational element is to know and to love what it knows. The function of the element of the spirit is to inspire men for battle. At the other extreme is the element of appetitive, which is irrational and is the source of love, thirst, hunger, and other appetites. Of the three elements, the appetitive one is the lowest, and its function is to make men desire things for their physical satisfaction. Corresponding to these three elements of reason, spirit, and appetite in the soul, there are three classes in the state: the philosophers, representing reason, the soldiers, representing the spirit, and the artisans and farmers, representing the appetite. In the philosophers, the rational element is dominant. In the soldiers, the spirit, and in the artisans and farmers, the appetite. The predominance of one element over the other two determines the disposition of the soul. The philosophers and the soldiers constitute together the ruling class and are called guardians. The guardians are subdivided into two categories according to their special gifts. That is, those who govern are called perfect guardian, and those who fight are called auxiliaries. The producer class, consisting of artisans and farmers, does not possess the special gifts of the ruler and the soldier, and confines itself to the single function of producing goods for the satisfaction of the physical wants of the community. Thus, the Platonic state is a community marked by division of labor between the three functionally specialized classes of rulers, the soldiers, and the artisans and farmers. According to Plato, functional specialization produces harmony, and this harmony produces unity in the state. Whatever contributes to unity contributes to justice. Plato assigns a hierarchical significance to the three elements of the soul and to the corresponding three classes in the state. In his scheme of values, knowledge occupies the first place, spirit the second place, and appetite the last place. Correspondingly, philosophers who possess the virtue of knowledge should occupy the first place, soldiers who exhibit the virtue of spirit the second place, and the artisans and farmers who possess the quality of appetite the last place. According to Plato, this is the natural scheme, and what is natural is also good, for nature always intends good. If excellence is to be achieved in the state, a similar natural order should prevail. That state is the best state, which is ruled by the philosopher, who possesses knowledge, and other two classes accept his rule. Justice in the state is attained if what naturally occurs in the human soul is repeated in the human society. Justice is attained if each man does his job for which nature has made him fit. The clue to justice is functional specialization. Justice is simply the will to fulfill the duties of one station and not to meddle with the duties of another station. Self-control is the common virtue of all classes. Plato sustained his argument that individuals differ in their capacities and nature with the help of a noble lie, that all human beings were born of earth and their bodies were mixed with the essence of different metals. Philosophic rational ones were made of gold, the spirited courageous ones of silver, and the enterprising appetitive ones of bronze. The myth justified individual and class distinctions in a manner that was acceptable to Athenians who believed that they were autochthonous. The myth of metals, according to Plato, would lead everyone to accept their station in life as natural and appropriate to their qualities they were born with. Though Plato took into account the role of the spirit and the appetite in human behavior, he was convinced that reason must ultimately control and direct emotions and passions. Thus, in the ultimate analysis of hierarchy of values, the philosophic element was given the primary place, and the philosopher who knows the good should necessarily rule. Plato's ideal state is necessarily to be ruled by a philosopher king. A philosopher king is a true statesman, and his monarchy is the best form of government. With a philosopher king, the laws would be the dictates of reason, and his discretion would be better than infallible laws. Plato's philosopher king would be above laws and above selfishness. Plato was therefore in favor of absolute monarchy of a philosopher king. From all that Plato has told us, the first characteristic of the good state will be immediately apparent. That is, it must be properly led. Power must not be given to those who will abuse it either for their own selfish interests or in pursuit of a misconceived common good, such as wealth or power. Power must rather be given to those who will use it all right to turn men's soul to the pure light of truth. It must be given to the philosophers, for philosophy is, as Socrates called it, the art of the tendence of the soul. So it must be called the art of the tendence of the state. As the safety of the ship depends upon the skilled pilot, so the welfare of the state depends upon the developed philosopher. For the good the philosopher pursues is unlimited. It is wisdom which is not sought at anyone's expense and which therefore creates no contention. Plato firmly believed that excellence can be attained only by specialization. If rulers, soldiers, and workers specialize in their particular sphere of activity and do not meddle with each other, incompetence will disappear from politics. Specialization leads to the separation of one class from another, especially the separation of governing class from the producing class. In specialization and separation lies the clue to the nature of Platonic justice. Platonic justice demands